I know everyone's wondering, like, did you meet his mom?
Yeah.
I've only like spoken on the phone with her, like with him when we were dating,
Mhm.
because she lived in Chicago.
God, I don't even know where to start. I really wasn't going to say anything about this just because it's too messy and too toxic. But I think because at first, when the first allegations about SK came out, I had a lot of questions. One, because some of the messages, there was no, it was very difficult to say whether or not she was the one who was responding back because having watched Married at First Sight and Love is Blind, I know that some of the casting managers go on Instagram, they recruit people, they cast people from Instagram, they go on dating apps to cast people, they meet people in public and they cast people. So it's not like everybody that goes on Love is Blind or Married at First Sight applies. Some do apply because they want to be on the show, but some people are actually recruited to be on the show. And so when I heard the bit about the Hinge, him introducing, saying I'm the guy from Hinge and stuff, I was like, you know, I wasn't phased by the aspect of it because I remember in Marriage at First Sight, in Boston season, there was quite a big issue with a couple because the husband found the wife had a dating app on it, and was under the impression that the producers had told him. So SK being on a dating app to me wasn't something that I sort of questioned because um, I know for a fact because when they ask them in the interviews after the shows, normally, how did you apply to the show? Some of them will say, I was approached. Most people have said, Love Island USA have said they were recruited on Instagram. I know Jared from season 2 said he was approached for on Instagram, although some people say they were recruit, they themselves applied. And I remember hearing somewhere whereby they actually go on dating apps and look for people and then ask the people if they want to be on the show and then let the people go through the casting process. If they make it, they make it. If they don't. So that aspect of it, I wasn't phased by it. I was a bit suspect with Hannah when she posted her video saying, when people find out, that you were making out this, that, and that, the fact that she was dressed in this sports gear and stuff, and I was thinking, is she trying to sort of compare herself to Raven or something? I didn't quite get it and I didn't understand it. So I didn't want to comment on that aspect of it because I just thought I had questions, but I was waiting until I could see a bit more. So, because my questions were really, why now? If you're saying you've approached Raven, why not wait for Raven to respond to you? If Raven is not giving you the response you want, why not phone SK and speak to him and tell him you're not happy about this and this is your goal, you're trying to speak to Raven or whatever else. But at the time, I was just like, it's someone just seeking attention. And I am still, sadly, of the opinion that Hannah is doing this for attention than anything else. Because if her goal was to let Raven know that SK is cheating on her, and she knows Raven has her, as she says in this interview, that Raven has, did at one point ask SK that, who is this? Do you know who this is? So it means if she continued to send messages, Raven at some point would have read the messages and would have approached her. But she didn't want to inform Raven. She wanted to embarrass SK. And I think she's a woman scorned in the fact that they were in this situationship, relationship, whatever you want to call it, with SK. And for some reason, I think she felt that this relationship with Raven was not serious, especially when she saw at the altar when SK said, I don't. Um, and because of that, I think she was waiting to see what would happen at the reunion. And when the reunion came up and it turned out that Raven and SK were actually dating, that's when all hell broke loose and she was, to embarrass him or whatever she was out for. Because I think all the interviews Raven has sort of had, she's sort of been discussing the progression of their relationship. And I think the more she spoke, the more upset Hannah got. And I think at some point Hannah must have said, enough is enough. I'm going to do my best to break this up, and this is why they are where they are. I will break down parts of the interview that I don't get, and I don't understand why she even did this interview because she's trying to play victim for a situation whereby it doesn't seem they were in a seriously committed relationship, and it seems they were in a situationship. I saw the pictures that she posted. Most of the pictures are from 2019, so that was pre-Raven. The picture that she posted in London is a bit awkwardish. And for personally, I try not to go by what pictures say because a picture can mean a lot of things. Yes, you can't see certain things, but it can mean a lot of things because who was behind the camera? Was it just SK and her going on a holiday, or was it a group of friends on a holiday? She decided to take a picture to make a statement to, to say he is mine because of the way that she's standing, the way she's holding onto his hands around her hips and stuff. I don't know. I don't get it. And the fact that she says, yes, we dated, we were friends, then we dated. I've met his brothers, I've met his brothers in London, I've met his brother in Austin. His mom, I have spoken to her with SK. So when she spoke to SK's mom, did she speak as SK's friend or did she speak as SK's girlfriend? Is the question. In what capacity was she speaking to SK's mom? As SK's girlfriend or as SK's friend? Because she said every time she spoke to the mom, she was with SK. And I think this is because a lot of people were questioning if SK's mom actually knew about her. And I think she was trying to sort of find a way of sort of linking herself to, but not tying herself down to the fact that she didn't really speak to SK's mom. I think she wanted to be associate to make it seem like SK's mom knew about her without saying SK's mom knew about her because she said without definitely confirming it. Because if SK was that serious about Hannah, why did he not get his mom to meet Hannah? He brought his mom to meet Raven. He didn't need to bring her. He could have easily said to the producers, "My mom is in Nigeria, so unfortunately, I'll have to bring my aunts and uncles and blah blah blah." If this was for the money, as she says, but he made it a point to make sure that his mom came and met Raven. He made it a point to make sure that his mom was incorporated in everything that they did with the wedding. So why bring his mom into that situation if he wasn't serious about Raven? I think Hannah is playing victim and she's sort of making things out to be what they're not. SK is wrong for entertaining her after he decided he was in a relationship with Raven. He should have set the boundaries clearly for her and told her, I'm sorry, but we're done. I have moved on, I have met someone, and this is what we're doing. Because she says SK didn't tell her he was going to do Love is Blind, but she was looking for SK. They were not boyfriend and girlfriend at the time. She was looking for SK when SK was at Love is Blind. But he had sort of jokingly sent her a leaflet to say, "Oh, should I do this? I'm thinking of doing this." So he applied to Love Is, according to her, this is what he used to apply to Love Is Blind. She looked for him, she couldn't find him, and suspected that he might be doing Love Is Blind. According to her claims, after the show, that's when they went to Europe. But from what I understand, SK says 4 days after his wedding with Raven, he was going to Berkeley, and this is one of the reasons why he didn't say yes. And so, what did he go to Berkeley, and then from Berkeley did he suddenly go via Europe? Then what happened? I don't get that. And if I remember clearly, Raven said that after the show filmed, they spent some time apart because they were the feelings were very raw and they needed time to move on. So is that the time that he went with Hannah? And if he went with Hannah, how was the relationship when they went with Hannah? Were they going as boyfriend and girlfriend or were they going as friends? And she says when they got there, he told her, I love you. And so him saying I love you was confirmation that they were in a relationship then. Is that what she's saying? I don't get it. Because you I love you. Is in what sense was he saying I love you? I love you. I want you to be my girlfriend. I love you. We're very good friends. I love you. What was the I love you for? And what suddenly gave her the impression that because he said I love you, that means that they're back on. I don't get it. And then she saw the text message from Raven. Um, After she saw the text message from Raven written to fiance, she started liking Raven's pictures. I think she knew. I somehow have the feeling that um, SK must have told her that they were dating with Raven, and this is why she was keeping tabs on Raven and liking Raven's pictures. She said, "No, you told me it was, they were just doing it for the publicity. They were doing this for that." I don't think so. I think she told herself that because that's what she wanted to believe, and because he told her he wasn't married. So I think she wanted to believe that he wasn't married, and that's why she believed that it was fake. Personally, don't get why Hannah is trying to minimalize the relationship between um, Raven and SK. I see it's problematic with some of the pictures that they took and the dates and the timing, but one thing I think Raven, when asked in an interview recently, she said they've been dating for a year. So if they've been dating for a year, that would have been maybe they became official last year, October, thereabouts. So if they were official that time, that means that whenever he went away with Hannah when they went to Cabo or whatever, they were not official. And the fact that she, out of her own mouth, Hannah said, he said we need to not be out there. We need to try and be sort of incognito. But yet he was happy to take pictures with others. She did it with the group. She didn't mention that this was a group trip. She said it was a couples trip. It's only when she was talking about the pictures that she said, no, there was a group of us. So he was happy to take a picture with the group, but he was saying, we need to go incognito and not let everyone know that we're together. And so it makes me suspect in the sense that watching the whole video, for me, as I've said before, it comes across as Hannah's playing victim. It comes across as she, the impression I got, I might be wrong, is she dated SK on and off and thought that at some point they would have a seriously committed relationship and was surprised when SK suddenly broke things off. He must have broken things off because I remember her saying that he told her that his relationship with Raven was real and they were very serious. So I think whether he told her that this is what was happening, because Raven in an interview said, they were making plans. She was planning on moving away from Dallas because they were going to be moving in with SK. That was the next stage of their relationship. And the fact that she also said that SK's mom was trying to push them to get married because she wanted them to get married like yesterday, but they still needed to plan their life and sort of come up with a way forward. And so I think hearing all that, this is why Hannah's gone out and done this interview. And if you listen to the interview if you listen to what she's saying and not listen with the intention that SK cheated, but actually listen to the words coming out of this girl's mouth, they don't make sense. They don't make sense. She doesn't confirm. She confirms that they dated. They were friends before. They dated. They broke up. Then SK went away. Then they went to Ibiza and they went to Europe. And then they came back. They didn't talk on and off again. And then she blocked him for some time, and then she then decided to invite him to a couple's trip to Cabo. I think she had a trip to Cabo, didn't have anyone to go with her, so she decided, let me call up my friend and see if he'll go. Called him up, he was free, and said, okay, let's go. And so and, the only time she confirms they were in a relationship is at the start. On and off, all we hear is him saying "I love you," but we don't hear any confirmation of them being in an actual relationship. We don't hear her saying, SK said, "With Raven, it's over. We're picking up. It's now just you and me, and let's see how far this goes." He was talking about the future. What was he saying about the future? Was it them being, in a seriously committed relationship in the future, or him making future plans to marry her? What was the future? This is why I say I don't get this interview. It's left me with so many questions, and I don't know why they were using kid gloves. When she initially put out the video, she talked about how SK and her were going to meet up, and she would have more proof on Friday. And I think somebody must have wondered that if you go to SK, he might trap you into revealing that you're lying. Because she said, I was afraid for myself, so that's why I didn't go. And it's like, afraid, what about? Because you said he's your friend, he was very supportive, he was a caring person, he was very romantic. What were you afraid of? And the fact that she was like, oh, I was afraid, so I didn't go. I think she didn't go because she felt that he might record her revealing herself to be lying, one, or he might somehow get it to stop with whatever she was doing. Two, I think also she tried to sort of get them to go back into a relationship. And I think maybe he said no, or maybe he refused to go and meet up with her. We will never know. This is why I say I have so many questions. She said she did this as a woman empowerment thing to sort of look out for Raven. She's not looking out for Raven. Raven was already left at the altar by SK once. How is she looking after Raven by embarrassing Raven and bringing all this out? If her goal was to look out for Raven, she knows SK's siblings. She knows Raven. She's in Dallas. I would suspect she knows where Raven works. Why didn't she go to Raven's workplace and speak to Raven if Raven wasn't responding to her on social media? If this was about her really caring about Raven's safety and being worried about Raven, because Raven to me came across as someone who had fallen hopelessly in love with SK, and I think for her this is why she tried her best to believe him, because at the reunion she mentioned that he had showed her women inboxing him. She mentioned that she trusted him and she felt their relationship was doing amazing. So I think this is why when the first sort of rumors came out, she didn't believe that, and I think it took more evidence coming out. Hannah saying she's looking out for Raven's best interest is a bit rich. I think Hannah still wanted to be in a relationship with SK, and when she found out SK was with Raven, thought it wasn't as serious as it was. And I think finding out that Raven and SK were planning on moving in together and there was talk about marriage, actual marriage, is what set her off. And this is why she released all the information. SK, for his part, I think needs to come out and say something. I know he said him and Raven are going their separate ways, but I think he needs to come out and say something to sort of um, protect his image, because a lot of people go on these shows for publicity. I don't think SK, because SK, I remember I read articles where he said he was where they said he was into investing in small tech startups. So I don't think it was, he was already doing well on his own. If you look at his in LinkedIn, if you look at his IG page, he was already doing great on his own. I don't think he really needed the show to get to whatever fame people think he was after. I don't think that was it. Yes, it would have helped maybe speed up the process for him, but I think with his work ethic or the way he comes across as someone with a very good work ethic, I think he would have got himself to wherever he was going. So this is messy. This is messy. I wish he would come and address this, but I don't know whether he will or whether he'll just decide to let the legal proceedings take place. I know he said that there is this legal thing taking place. I'll discuss that in a bit in my next video. But I don't know. We'll see how it goes. But I take whatever Hannah's saying with a grain of salt. I don't want to say it's clear. It doesn't make sense to me. It might make sense to others. To me, it doesn't make sense. But hey, anyway, I digress. Thanks, guys, for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Bye, everyone.